Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. Glad to have you here for part 2 of our Cabral HouseCalls every single weekend, answering our community's questions. Looking forward to diving back in all things wellness, weight loss, weight gain, anti-aging, and everything in between, as we say. So yesterday we went over some great questions. Hopefully you were able to tune in. That was episode 2290. We went over what to do for slower bowel movements, gallbladder removal, urinary tract. Related to the same, we went through fatigue, vertigo, headaches, muscle spasms, numbness in the hands, tongue, lips. We went over potential mold toxicity. We went over lower thyroid and Hashimoto's. We talked about lightheadedness and dizziness, especially as we start to get maybe a little bit older. And we also talked about my formulations for Cell Boost and nicotinamide riboside versus nicotinamide mononucleotide. And that was yesterday. So hopefully you tuned in. That was episode 2290. If you want to check out today's questions and maybe read along as we go, head on over to stephencabral.com/2291 for today's show. All right, let's dive right in. First question is from Nina. Nina says, hello, Dr. Cabral. First, I'd just like to thank you for everything you do and share with this community. You've helped so many people with your knowledge and passion to help others. Thank you, Nina. I appreciate that. I'm a 36-year-old female. I recently recovered from Candida overgrowth, blastocystis, vitamin mineral deficiencies, and a few other gut issues. I recently took a saliva hormone test and has very low levels of estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone. My DHEA was on the very low end of normal, and my cortisol levels were in the normal range. Could this be a case of my body recovering and catching up? What do you recommend to rebalance my hormones? Thank you again for all you do. All right. Yeah, happy to answer this. So I don't know, Nina, if you're an IHP level 2 or not. If you're not and you're really interested in this, I would look into becoming an IHP. But if not, and you're not, I would work with either one of our coaches or one of the IHP level 2s, because whoever you worked with on this lab should have told you all of this. And again, I don't mean this from a negative standpoint. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but people need to be told what their labs mean, not just if they're in range. So if you're working with a doctor or a health coach or a dietitian or anyone, and they don't tell you what your labs mean, especially if you're like in range but almost out of range, then you ask them. And if they can't tell you, then it doesn't mean they're a bad person, but it's probably not the person to be working on when health is the most important thing in our lives, right? So that's why I teach this. I think it's very important that we all learn this, but even still, this is important because, okay, let's go through this. And I'm glad that you're working on your Candida, your parasite, vitamin minerals, all those other amazing things. So you're doing great. So if your DHEA is low, and your estrogen is low, and your progesterone's low, and your cortisol's low, then it means that your body was under chronic stress for a number of years, or it could be a number of months, but typically years. Like it's a chronic issue. Okay. How do you know if you're recovering? Well, cortisol in the normal range, especially in the AM range, if AM is low, so I'm hoping that you did 4 cortisol levels during the day, because if you only did 1, then it doesn't give you the full picture. But if cortisol is normal, okay, it could be a sign that your body is recovering. Could be a sign. But it also could be a sign that your body's still under stress. The only way that anyone would ever be able to tell you if you're recovering or you're still in that stress state is if you had a previous lab from 6 months or a year ago showing what your cortisol levels were like then. If your cortisol levels were low then, especially in the AM, well, then you're now on the recovery, or at least moving in the right direction. But either way, honestly, I'm not sure that it totally matters because your body needs a lot more support. okay? So I can't tell you exactly what to do because I don't have your whole health history. I didn't do your intake, but that's why your practitioner should be giving you recommendations. Again, you need to be working on, yes, your digestion, no doubt about it, but the nervous system and all the things that would enable you for that full recovery. So either work with an integrative health practitioner level 2, work with a naturopathic doctor that specializes in this, or work with someone on our Equal Life team. All right. And then without a doubt, though, you'll get the protocol and help that you need. No doubt about it. It sounds like you're doing great, though. So keep up the great work. Okay. So Lori's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm currently enrolled in your IHP 2 program. Well, look at that. Again, I don't read these questions at all before we even start. You just became level 1 certified. Congratulations. I was recently discussing one of your podcasts with a naturopathic doctor regarding COVID in the gut, and she mentioned she has seen a lot of pancreatitis in patients after COVID also. Wondering if this is something you have encountered, and if so, can you speak on this topic on one of your podcasts? Please advise. Sincerely, Lori. All right, great question. So I have not seen a lot of pancreatitis. I really haven't. But I'm not surprised because I've seen a lot of inflammation. So the inflammation could affect the vagal nerve, why so many people are dealing with lightheadedness, brain fog, fatigue. Also, just inflammation in general wipes out your mitochondria. I have a lot of podcasts in this, Lori. I would love for you to check those out and maybe even forward them to your ND if you want. You don't have to, of course, because I know there's just a lot of ego in medicine. You probably have a great ND and they're willing to go back and forth and talk about it. But it's just, I love open discussions. I love friendly debate. That's how we learn, right? That's why I read. If you can see in my book right now, I have literally stacks of books. They're literally so big that you can see here on the podcast if you're seeing this in video. This is just 2. These are monster books, and I love to read, and I've read thousands of books. And so people say, why do you still read? Because the thing is, I always try to keep my mind open. Maybe there's something I missed, and oftentimes there is. And so I just continue to study. I continue to read. Okay, so that's that. So definitely check out my podcast because if we're talking about overall inflammatory processes, long haulers, long COVID, whatever you want to call it, you want to understand the underlying principles. Inflammation, depleted mitochondria leads to more inflammation. It's a vicious cycle. It can affect any part of your body. And you also have to start working on just overall boosting your immune system. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you for writing in. Catherine's up next. Dear Dr. Cabral, I have vitiligo and there is no cure. It really depresses me. Do you have any suggestions? I try to be gluten-free, no dairy, eggs, and low carb, low fat, but nothing helps. Only direct sun exposure in the summer. I feel helpless. Thanks for your time. All right. So we might have got a little bit of an answer there because, by the way, there is cures for vitiligo. So vitiligo is essentially a, what's the best way to call it? A depigmentation of the skin. So it doesn't matter what color your skin color is. It can have lighter patches, white patches on the skin. So it does go back to, though, I see many people with Candida and yeast overgrowth as part of the issue. I see many people with mold as part of the issue. I see many people with some heavy metals as part of the issue. But overall, it's going back to autoimmune-based processes. So vitamin D plays a big part in that. Now, is vitamin D going to cure all of vitiligo? Well, first, let me give you my medical disclaimer. I'm not here to provide any medical advice, medical diagnosis, medical treatment plans, or medical cures. I look at underlying root causes. So what I do is this, Catherine. There's a cure for everything, by the way. Again, we know this because if one person has recovered from vitiligo, that means, okay, there's a way to overcome it. So what we look at is the underlying root causes. We run the big 5 labs. You can run them with a naturopathic doctor. You can run them with an integrative health practitioner level 2. You can run them with our Equal Life team. It's your choice. Honestly, your choice. All the labs are at stevencabral.com/labs. You can see what they are. You don't have to run them with us if you choose not to. Here's the thing. We need to look at what are your vitamin levels. Really important. Vitamin D is a big one. Maybe the sun is helping you with that, okay? For mood and body. All right, mind and body. So then we look at your zinc levels. What do your zinc levels look like? What do your vitamin C levels look like? Do you have Candida overgrowth? Do you have potential mold exposure? What are your omega-6s to omega-3s like? Do you have gut permeability? We need to assess these things in order to figure out your underlying root cause. That's the only way anybody gets well. It's honestly, if you got well without doing that, you got lucky. And you know what? Congratulations. That's fantastic. It's okay to be lucky sometimes. It really is, right? But if it happens again, you didn't know how you got well again. So that's what I can tell people. If you end up relapsing or you're getting sick and you already got well and you already know what the underlying root causes are, you can do it again. That's the beauty. Now, like for me personally, I was always worried through my entire 20s about getting sick. Always. Because it could be a full relapse. But then once I figured out how I got sick and why I was sick, I don't worry about getting sick again, ever. Like literally ever. So now we can get a cold and it's like it's going on, and for a long cold for me, it'd be 5 days. Okay, on the 5th day, I'm like, well, I'm still gonna get well again. Like this is a temporary period of time, and I wish I wasn't sick, but I get a cold because I'm human, right? And so that happens. So hopefully that's helpful, Catherine. A little sip of smoothie there. Purple Crush smoothie, just saying, I practice what I preach. Staying healthy. It's hard to imagine, right? If you're watching this on video, you can see it, but hard to imagine that some people believe that wild blueberries were dark purple pigment like this, all those anthocyanins that have been proven to help prevent cancer, help with your eyes, your nervous system, and so much more, that this is somehow harmful to the body. But that is the world that we live in, where anybody can say anything. Especially some of those people are doctors, which is amazing. Anyway, Jillian's up next. Hi, Dr. Brawl. This may seem random, but I'm wondering if you have any knowledge on Sandbox health safety for children. I've been debating on getting one for my toddler, and I've heard some people mention they can be unsanitary and harbor parasites. We would keep it covered when not used. I've also heard some people use diatomaceous earth, but I've also heard it can be harmful. What are your thoughts? Jillian, this is a great question. I've never been asked this before, and I love being asked questions I've never been asked before. Like, for example, let me just go back for 1 second. Catherine, if you go to stephencabral.com/podcast, you could type in vitiligo, and you'll see all the podcasts I've done on vitiligo for even more information. I've never done one on Sandbox Health, so let's do it. Let's go over this. Well, this is something I, of course, looked into because I now have a 7 and 9-year-old daughter, but at one time they were at Sandbox age. And here's what you want to do. Sandboxes can be literally littered with mice droppings, animal droppings. By that, I mean their bowel movements, their poop in the sandbox, right? If it's left outside, that can be urine, that can be obviously bowel movement based, and you can have all sorts of bacteria and parasites in there, no doubt about it. So what do? Well, first you cover the earth below with a liner so that nothing can come through from the dirt. Okay. Next, you're going to fill it with sand in some type of container, wood, plastic, whatever you decide is best for you. Obviously, plastic's not great for the environment, but it's there. And if you choose to do it, your child's not going to be eating the plastic or consuming it. Anyway, you need a liner. Okay. Next, you do have a cover for it every night. Absolutely. That's what you want to do. Keep it covered. Only time you don't have it covered is when your child's playing in it. And if anybody else is doing it, you do the same thing. But also, I agree, food-based diatomaceous earth is excellent. Not the synthetic, not the filtered form, but the food grade. Just type in food grade diatomaceous earth. Why is it not harmful to humans, but it is to parasites? Because it affects anything with an exoskeleton. If the skeleton is on the outside of the body, it has a crystalline-based structure, and it will break down those parasites. People even consume it internally. I'm not recommending it, but nevertheless, it's a recommendation that some people give with parasites. We do something a little different called our ParaPro support protocol for parasites. So that's what I'd recommend. That's what we did. And so hopefully that's helpful. All right. Barbie is up next. Barbie says, hello, I am in desperate need for Dr. Brawl to help me. He seems so knowledgeable and so nice. I've spent thousands of dollars on trying to get better and figure out what the cause is to my health issues, and nobody, not even naturopaths, can find it. Can find it. My prayer to God is to please, can I somehow talk to Dr. Brawl? Can he please help me? All right, Barbie. Well, you've asked in the Ask Cabral. Appreciate the kind words, and I'm always here to help. So although I do not do one-on-one consultations anymore, and the reason being is this: I've done one-on-one consultations my entire life for 20 years. I saw well over 40,000 client appointments in my own practice, but I've overseen over 250,000. And every month I oversee 1,000 to 2,000 appointments. In a month, the biggest month I could do is maybe 160 hours, right? 40 hours a week. So just keep in mind that I'm just trying to do my highest good possible. And I feel that's overseeing our team now that's like 20 people. It's an amazing, amazing team. Here's the nice thing though. I give my guidance on any questions they have. So if it's a case we haven't seen before, or if someone's struggling, they ask me on our Monday and Thursday calls. So I'm always happy to help in that way. I understand we've seen many, many people that have spent thousands of dollars and seen dozens of practitioners, just like I did, just like many of the coaches on my team. The very best thing that you could do is either do the free lab consult, which is $49, but the $49 gets put towards any labs you want, or do the private wellness coaching with one of our Equal Life coaches if you want to work directly again with our team, or you can run the Big Five. I know there's an investment, but we really make it as inexpensive as possible, and we include a 90-minute consultation with the Big Five labs. So you can find that at StephenCabral.com/labs or directly at StephenCabral.com/Big Five. That is the way that you can work with me and my team. I know you've worked with naturopaths before. Not everyone has the same expertise in every area. Doesn't mean that they're bad people. Doesn't mean that they're not great. Just means like you haven't seen the right one for you. That's all. You can also work with our integrative health practitioners. A level 2 practitioner will be able to run at-home labs with you. So my opinion is this: let's find the root cause. Let's run the Big Five. Let's go deeper. Have someone to support you along the way. That's absolutely my best recommendation. All right. So StephenCabral.com/health-coaching or StephenCabral.com/Big Five. And that'll lead you to the right place. And we'll do our very best for you. We really will. We'll do our very best. Okay, our last question of the day is from Summer. Summer is saying, hey doc, I have gut dysbiosis, possibly SIBO and leaky gut. I've gotten rid of H. pylori and now mid-CBO protocol. I've been doing coffee enemas on and off for a few years with a clean organic coffee. Larry, I tried to do around once a week for extra liver support. I'm assuming that that's just a typo, but you're doing it once a week for liver support. Got it? I always feel great after, but more often than not, a few hours to a half a day later, I'll experience terrible bloating. I feel like a huge gas bubble or something that won't move. I usually end up doing another enema to move it through. I usually do 2 rounds of about 6 to 8 cups of distilled water, then about 4 cups of coffee. I started using less water thinking I was just using too much and not being able to move it all back out, but it's still causing problems most times. Any idea what might be causing the bloating and discomfort? Thanks for everything. All right, this is interesting because I don't exactly know the coffee enema that you are doing. My recommended coffee enema is the same one as the Gerson Institute. That's how I learned it. So 3 tablespoons of organic coffee mixed with 1 liter of distilled water. You could do spring water if you needed to. And we typically do spring water at my house because you don't always have distilled water there. You could do reverse osmosis if you wanted to. And then what you're going to do is put it in a French press. Okay, that's it. Let it, marinate is the best way to say. Then press it down after 5 or 10 minutes, however strong you want it to be. Then let it cool. And that's really it. So that's all we do. 3 tablespoons, heaping tablespoons. If it makes you too jittery after doing a coffee enema, you'll use less than 3 tablespoons. Maybe you use 1 to start, and then 2, and then try 3. So you absolutely may be doing too much water. You're doing 6 to 8 cups, and then you're doing, I think, another 4 cups of coffee. So that's somewhere around 10 to 12 cups. So that would be a lot of water. So I think you just might be using too much water for sure. Now, there's another possibility, and that's that some people, if they're more prone to constipation, once they do a coffee enema, they have a little slower bowel transit time. It typically doesn't happen unless people are doing coffee enemas every day, because then your body gets used to the stimulant. And then when you get used to the stimulant, your body looks for that stimulant again in order to be able to have a bowel movement. So that doesn't happen to everybody. It's not even 10% of people. It might be like 1 or 2% of people, but they're out there. And so you have to be careful with that. And for those people, you just might use, again, less caffeine. So you might use less coffee. So that seems like the place to start. I would definitely look into just using a 1 liter French press. That's about 32, 33 ounces, 3 tablespoons, heaping tablespoons of organic coffee. Let it simmer for 10 minutes or so, longer if you want it stronger. Press it down, wait for it to cool, pour it in your coffee enema bucket, and you are good to go. I also have a podcast on coffee enemas. So you can go to stevencabral.com/podcast, type in coffee enema, and you'll be able to find it. All right. Hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into today's show. I always appreciate you. I'll be back tomorrow with our Mindset and Motivation Monday. Don't miss it. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.